Hello folks, hope you are having a wonderful Tuesday. It's a big one today, mainly because it's a subject that is quite close to my heart. Not because I am one, but because I know quite a few people like this. Today's video is on hobby chads and why they are so important. Quite frankly, I don't think they get enough time in the limelight, so this is their time. There may be a few controversial stories in here. It's kind of a mix between hobby nightmares and an exploration of a phenomenon that is in the hobby, right? There can be 3 stories by 3 friends of mine who I've known for varying lengths of time. Thank you very, very, very much for them for writing me a little blurb and sending it to me and making sure that it was legible so I could actually read it as well. So, I'm going to start reading from the script as I normally do, but if you like what I do, the subscribe button is down below, the Patreon button, or the link to it, is also down below if you want to buy me a beer. I need to get this done pretty quick because my grandpa is coming back today, which is great. He's coming back from the hospital today, and I've spent the last 5-6 days getting the house ready for him, installing banisters. We're getting a wet room sorted out where I've gutted the bathroom downstairs, and I feel like a proper, DIY, a catch. Ladies, DIY. No, I'm kidding. I'm good, thank you. Moving on, let's get into it, shall we? So, on this channel, sometimes we lean into the more negative and cringe aspects of Warhammer as a hobby, and the wider tabletop sphere. This is mainly because controversy sells. I wish it didn't, but hey. I seem to have been put in this YouTube box where only hobby nightmares seems to get any traction, and sometimes that's quite hard for me personally. I see other channels like branching out into more positive stuff and it still gets traction. So, well, I thought, sod it. Let's do a positive video. Now, this won't be a gushing video all about how awesome the hobby is. It's more showing how vitally important a positive sphere it is, with testimony from a few of my friends. Simple really, but I do hope that you enjoy it. I split it into 3 parts. The first is crisis support. Right? These are the kinds of people that I think are in the hobby that are incredibly, incredibly important. Most of you would have met one of these archetypes. We did bad archetypes the other week, right? Remember? When I said, these are the worst hobbyists in the hobby and the ones that you should kind of stay away from or try and reform in some way. Well, these are the positive ones. These are the ones that I know you would have met at some stage in your hobby journey. And if you have done, then put it in the comment section down below and let me know some of your stories and the cool people you've come across in your hobby who've helped you out. But first, the first form is the crisis support guy. So, what does a good gaming group of 40k people actually look like? I think it's extremely hard to pin this down. But the main key factors I see again and again, the first one being passion. We all know that one guy, right? Maybe it's you, who loves everything about the hobby. You show him your models, they're amazing. Maybe with a few pointers here and there. He loves the background lore you come up with. He shares in the things you like without any preamble. In short, this guy acts like a Games Workshop staffer without actually being paid to be there or humour you in any way. Whilst the Games Workshop staffer may come across as a bit disingenuous, this guy's passion is essentially never wavering. He doesn't have any ulterior motive, he just wants you to have a good time. He just loves the hobby. The support network created by groups like this leads to a real gelling together effect that I have not come across in many places, and there will be a few of you who will read things like this and go, wow, is that actually out there? I'm going to tell you now, it is out there. It is out there and you can find it. Alright? A friend of mine, Sean, has been struggling with mental health issues since he was in his early teens. I didn't know him then, but I asked him to write something for this video, as he is a part of the gaming club here in the Northwest that has helped me a lot, personally. And this is what he said. Quote, and every time I quote from somebody, I will make sure I say quote, alright? So, here we go. Quote, this is from Sean. I'm not going to say his second name because I don't want to out him in any way. Anyway, so, quote, I've been involved in some clubs over the years, from university to other places like hobby shops. They all tended to fade into competitiveness and things like that. whilst I appreciate it as a game and you want to win, sometimes you just want to talk, shoot the shit, that kind of thing. Thing is, whenever I needed to talk, I'd just go quiet. I'd turn up to my local club as I would normally, but I wouldn't interact a lot with anybody at all. In such a place, people who are a little socially awkward or quiet are the norm, really. And so people would just let you go about your business, which was completely fine. It's just, I didn't need that at the time. I needed a bit of support. I'd head over there and feel even more isolated on my own. Again, this is no one's responsibility but my own. Okay, unquote there for a second. So, one of the things about this video that I wanted to get across is when you're in your hobby club, when you're in your hobby space and you notice somebody who has been quite talkative over the past few weeks is going within themselves and is kind of not talking, please take it upon yourself to make sure that person's okay. I've known quite a few people, unfortunately, in this hobby who aren't around anymore for various reasons. And I think you've all heard of Eldar Guy. You all would have heard of that when I was working at Games Workshop. And a guy came into the store and he was a bit of an emo, a bit of an older emo guy. Loved this Dark Eldar, was a really good player, and we had loads of really, really, really cool games. And we had one last game where he finally won. He finally beat me after ages, trying to beat me with my Grey Knights and this Dark Eldar. And he finally beat me, and beat me like a drum as well. And we shook hands afterwards, we had a really good time, and he left, and he said, look, outside, he said, look, that was really, really special to me, thank you. And I was like, oh, I don't need to be like that, man. No problem, I'm here for you every time, right? Anyway, a little while later, I'm in Sainsbury's, and I'm checking things in the self-checkout, and he comes over to me. He says, hey, North. I'm like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? He says, yeah, I'm cool. Hey, listen, are you still doing that Space Marine army? You said you were doing, Grey Knights and stuff, but are you doing any Space Marines? I said, yeah, I'm doing Space Marines. He says, right, I've got a few Land Raiders here. Do you want to buy one? I said, no, man, I'm good, really. With the discount, I basically just buy it, if I want to buy it, I just buy it, He said, oh, okay. Well, do you just want one? I was like, what? He said, do you just want a Land Raider? And I was like, no, dude, I'm not taking a Land Raider off you. No problem. No. Then you keep that. You sell it on eBay, right? He goes, okay. All right, well, I'll see you around, man. And I was like, all right, yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. And he said, right, okay, hey, and thanks for the games. Thank you so much. I was like, no problem. And off he goes into the night. So, he took his own life. Would have been maybe a day or two after that. He took his own life, unfortunately. And only since I've started this channel have people reached out. We had one therapist even tell me in the comments one time. He told me he's a therapist. I don't know whether he actually was one or not. But he said, that is one of the mechanisms, that's one of the big warning signs when somebody who has mental issues starts giving their things away. That's a crisis time. That's a time to step in and make sure this person's okay. Anyway. So, I've got previous. So if you know somebody in your group who needs a bit of help, step in and try and help them. So, quote again. This is from Sean. When I started at the current club I'm in, though, it was kind of like walking into a Technicolor world after being in a black and white one. I was welcomed in several games against the regulars, and they went out of their way to get to know me, which meant a lot to me. It's a Horus Heresy group, and so a lot of us are more perfectionist in the way we go about things in the hobby, and I think that my mindset being that way went a long way with them. A few weeks ago, I've heard that, by the way, unquote, I've heard that, by the way, with a lot of Horus Heresy groups. They are very, very, very close-knit, because they're all very, very similar. Anyway, quote again. A few weeks ago, I had another mental crash. I lost my job. I have a new one now, so it's all well and good. But it was kind of sudden, and I thought for a while I might end up being homeless. It got that bad. I decided to retreat into my hobby and headed into the Thursday night group. One regular, Alex, headed over after about half an hour and asked me if I was okay, and that he was there if I needed to talk. I don't even know what happened. I just kind of broke down. I've never really had someone do that for me out of the blue. He took me aside and gave me a hug and basically listened to my problems. He told me to give his therapist a call, and gave me his card, and also said I should probably write in a journal to get all my thoughts out there. I've done both, and they are helping. I headed back into the main gaming hall and got a small game going with another gent called Tony. Lovely bloke. 500 points, and I switched my brain off. Later on, Alex came back with Dave, who owns a graphic design company. I'm a designer, and on the spot he offered to give me a shot on trial at his place. I accepted and left the hobby club feeling like I was making real progress, and that for once this place had found my feet again. I'm still at Dave's place and I love it there. Awesome. Excellent. I did ask people if they were going to send me something in. If they did have a Chad in there, call him Dave. So hopefully we'll have a few more Daves coming into this. Thing is, and I've not said this before to anyone, but since it's a video, it may be important. Okay. I walked into the hobby club that day, grasping for a life raft. It felt like I was drowning and at sea. Desperate, you know what I mean? If I did not get that bit of compassion from Alex, I don't know where I'd be now, or if I'd even be here. It was that close. I was done completely at that point, run down, and I just had enough. It actually scares me what could have happened if I was getting to the stage where I was ready to give up. I'd bought pills and all sorts, searched for painless ways to not be here anymore, that kind of thing. I looked at it as an escape clause, and in a weird way, it gave me hope. It was like, if things get too bad, there is always an option, always a way out, sort of thing. Well, on Tuesday last week, I got back from a few beers with my new work friends, walked into my bathroom, took all of those pills, and flushed them down the toilet. I now have a solid group of friends, a group with people who are awesome to be around, a boss who respects me and thinks I'm quite talented, and I'm determined to help other people in the same way I was. Starting with writing this, I guess. So, again, here's the thing. We are a hobby that attracts broken people. And that can mean many things. We've done the Neckbeard, taking the piss out of Neckbeards and all that. We've done that in the past, right? And quite rightly so as well. There are some people in the hobby who really do deserve a bit of a drubbing, at least verbally, right? But in our hobby, there are so many people who are broken through no fault of their own, really. It might be a mental health issue, it might be something that they're going through in their personal life, it might be something that they're going through professionally, like that, or a combination of all of these things, like we just seen with Sean. The fact of the matter is, please recognise wherever you are that you are surrounded in this hobby by broken people, or people who are looking for a sense of belonging. And the minute you take that away from somebody is the minute that they might lose hope, and they might not come back, and they might be done, right? You don't want that on your conscience. I had that on my conscience for a long time because I didn't know that this guy was hurting, right? I was nice to him, but I could have done more. I could have done more. And I still think about him. Once every couple of months, I always think about him, right? And I know that's not what he would have wanted. He doesn't want to be... The reason why you take your own life is because you don't want to be a burden to anybody anymore. That'd be the last thing that he wants, right? But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Like, I want to help people. And, don't be that guy. If you're there and you see somebody acting up, that's fair enough. If you have a hobby nightmare, that's fair enough. But if you see somebody being quiet, or somebody's being overly touchy about losing or something when they haven't been in the past, maybe something else is going on. Maybe dig a little bit deeper just to find out what thorn is eating at them on the inside. So the second archetype, the outlet. The outlet. This one means a lot more to me than it will to most, to be honest, as in me personally. There have been many times when I've been sitting here at a loss what to do. Gonna be honest with you guys. I mean, I have free time, right? I should be able to do something I enjoy, right? Well, I start procrastinating and getting more and more numb as the day goes on. More and more miserable until the night is wasted. I've wasted my night and I go to bed miserable, and I end up going to bed later and later and later trying to claw back some personal time and do something that I actually want to enjoy, right? My local hobby club, though, has helped me bring out in me some of the best creativity I've experienced in years. For instance, right, folks in the club were doing a massive planetary campaign, and when they heard I do lore and things, and they watched a bit of the channel, like that. They asked me to write them something about their world, or write some lore for their world that they were playing in, and I did. But it blew through the cobwebs of not being able to start something, and pushed me to do something. I look for that all the time now. You should see on the Discord, I always try to get writing exercises started, and collaborative projects that never really get off the ground because people lose interest, but it's what I always try to do. And a friend of mine, Jason, agreed to talk to me about his own process of going through this tortured creative phase. So, quote, I think we are all there, to be honest, tortured creatives. I mean, you have to be creative to even be in this hobby, unless you're a math hammer guy. Nothing against you if you are. Sometimes you just fit, if you know what I mean. Like, the amount of times I've had all this pent up creative energy with no creative outlet, I just started gaming or something. Anything to take my mind off of it. It's when you meet others in the 40k space who are into the same things you are, you're really like, wow, I have a skill here that not many others have. Like, if you can write, you're gold dust in this hobby, and a lot of people will ask you to do things for them. And you aren't even touching on the painting side that people make literal livings doing as a job. Having that around is so important for that empty feeling inside to go away. Like, even in the Discord is a great place to do that. Sometimes I head on there and pose a lore question just to get my mind going, and it sparks a conversation with 5 or 6 people who I never would have spoken to otherwise. Sometimes in my head, I don't really have the energy to do it, but the moment I do, I almost never regret it. I walk away with ideas to approach in my own writing, and before you know it, I'm throwing something together with a few of the guys on there that is really rewarding. The first step is always the hardest though. Unquote. And I think that, in all honesty, that's probably the best line that anyone wrote when I got these back on Sunday, right? The first step is always the hardest, because it is. It always is. Like if you're coming into your own as a hobbyist. Coming into your own as a hobbyist? But if you're starting to be yourself, right, as a hobbyist, and you want to get out there and you want to share your creative vision with people, the first step is always the hardest. The first step in not procrastinating is always the most difficult. But the thing I do when I procrastinate now, or at least what I try to do, is to just do something. Even if it's playing a video game, I do something so I'm not wasting my time, right? The amount of video games I play where I make little notes saying that'll make for a good part of a setting, and I'll write it down, you know? That's something. It's something to do. Always take a positive if you can. That wasn't a specific Chad. That was just a Chaddy behaviour in the outlet that, a lot of us tend to do. And if you are a person who is the outlet, well done to you. So, the other week we went over a phenomenon in Neckbeards known as the unwanted mentor, right? The unasked for mentor. Well, there is a Chad version of him called the wanted mentor. And this will deal with a specific example, or so I've been told. So, let's jump into it. Again, these are my words until I quote. When I say quote, it's not me anymore. So, let's just in case you get confused with my reading style. Alright, the wanted mentors. We've all been there with unwanted mentors. People coming in to give you advice you didn't ask for. There are those out there, however, who can simply tell when someone is in pain or in need of an arm around the shoulder. The first step in knowing you have an issue is, well, admitting it. Luke's story is, well, I'll let him discuss it for himself, right? So, quote. So Luke says, yeah, so I was a fucking neckbeard. I guess. Not I guess, really. I was a total fucking neckbeard. I have to admit, I didn't like women very much, to say the least, and to be honest, being good at 40k was pretty much the only thing I had going on in my life. Like, I'd turn up to the store, and if I had a bad day or didn't play well, it genuinely ruined my day or weekend. I lived with my... Sorry, mate, you've... that's a bit of a convoluted sentence. I'm going to try and rejig that in my mind. La 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 la. Okay. I lived with my parents. had a job in retail I hated, and generally, now that I look back on it, hated myself. Wow. I swear, Luke the Neckbeard was destined to become some sort of fucking meme in my store. Every time I watch one of those hobby nightmares, I cringe. Not because it's terrible sometimes, because it is, but because I recognise myself in a lot of the stories. I'd throw full tantrums at losses or bad rolls. I would celebrate wins as if I just won the World Series. I can tell you're fucking American. As if I just won the World Series or something all on my own. It was pretty cringe, not gonna lie. All of that was turned inwards though. Like, all of that loathing and nastiness was really just me suffering and being completely alone. And then I moved to the UK and got involved in the scene over here when I went to King's College London for university. Okay, cool. Since your Daves get a bad rep and you've asked me to do so, and my Chad has not given me permission to use his name yet, and I need to get this written, I'm going to say that I met a Dave. It was actually in a game against his Black Templars where he pulled me apart completely. Like my Tau on paper should have dominated the bastard, but he was an excellent player, and I hated it. It showed. Instead of getting angry at my outbursts though, like a big man-child that I was, he simply commiserated with my luck that calmed me down quite a bit. He even cheered for me when I started finally destroying stuff of his. But too little, too late, and I lost. As we were packing up, Dave was complimentary of my paint job and of my skills as a painter. I returned a few compliments, awkwardly, and as I was putting stuff away, I realised something. That empty bad feeling that I have after a loss had completely gone. That was weird. He slapped me on the back and congratulated me again on giving him a good game. Now, this guy was not some amazing looking bloke, just an average dude rocking a nice leather jacket. In fact, he had a white t-shirt on underneath, and the manager kept taking the piss, saying he looked like the Fonz or something. He looked nothing like him, by the way. It was just the combo that produced the good-natured needling. Then, his girlfriend came to pick him up. A straight 10. Like, not even close. 5'8", natural ginger, pretty, big white smile, flat tummy, curves, impeccable sense of style, in a tight skirt, heels, and a Firefly TV show t-shirt. Fucking hell. She looked like a mix between a 1950s pin-up and a Motley Crue roadie. I was absolutely floored. She was all over him and asked him how his game went. He told her and also pointed me out and said, I met this guy, Luke. He's really good and I need to play him again. Maybe next time I come in. I felt like a bloody king and thanked him, saying, yeah, okay, yeah, playing again would be good. They headed out, and I'll be honest, I felt kind of ashamed. I'd chewed this guy out and been really unpleasant during the game, and I was determined not to do it again, at least with him. The next week, Dave headed back, and I made a beeline for him and asked him for another game. He agreed, and this time I bit my bloody tongue. I reciprocated when he gave me compliments, and even went out of my way to do things in the game that would be cool, rather than what would win me the game. Surprisingly, seeing this, Dave took his foot off of the gas of his playstyle and played along. We ended up marching Helbrecht and Shadow Sun towards each other for an epic death duel in the centre of the field. Unbelievably, as Shadow Sun was down to 2 wounds and Helbrecht was at full strength and got the charge, she won. I lost the battle, but my god, that moment just made me punch the air, and Dave shook my hand before the game was even over at that moment. Wow. Dude, I'm getting fucking goosebumps. This is really cool. Afterwards, I asked Dave if I could take him for a beer, as I had a few questions to pose to him. Nothing weird, just, man to man. I have no idea where that came from. But Dave said sure, and that he was meeting his girl at a local place called the World's End in Camden Town anyway. So let's head there. So we did. So we got a pint each and some messy fries, and I essentially asked him before his girl got there how he got with her. where he got his haircut, things like that. Where he got his haircut. This guy's got the patience of it. I mean, what he is a Chad, but he also is very patient. I like this guy. Thankfully, Dave knew exactly what I was asking and simply said, so you're saying you want to graduate? With a smile. I was like, what? He explained that he'd been a bit of a loner in the hobby and kind of angry at the world until he got on the right meds. He sorted out his diet and started riding motorbikes as a hobby. He met his girl at the local biking club and they went from there. He looked at it as his graduation. At this point, I was nodding eagerly, and you know what this guy did? He leans forward and just says, dude, you've pretty much already graduated, mate. You just don't wear the threads yet. He explained that me just being there having a pint was like 90% of the battle. He pointed out a few of the women in there and told me I could probably have any one of them if I just played the game a bit, got a haircut, wore a decent shirt, things like that. So I resolved to do that. Now, were all of my problems solved in doing so? No. I still have blips here and there, but I've lost some weight. I cut my beard to flatter my face, or so my barber said. I shower once a day, wear decent aftershave, and I still wear dark but nicely fitting clothes. I do notice attention from the opposite sex, but I will admit I have no idea how to take things further than that. But at least I'm getting on the batter's mound, as you like to say in some of your videos. I head out once every few weeks with Dave. Our Horned is the world's end, and his missus actually asked if I'd like to be set up with somebody, so watch this space, I guess. These guys are out there though, in the hobby, and you never know who you're talking to. He could have easily told me to fuck off after our first game, but he didn't. He found a friend, pulled me out of my mire, and then watched me keep going when the supports were taken off. I just couldn't be more grateful to him and guys like him. Anyway, Chads exist, and mine's called Dave for now, I guess. Unquote. So, that was really cool. That was really nice to read. Like when I started reading that, I was in an okay mood. Now I'm actually in a good mood. That was cool. That was cool. And guys like this do exist. They are out there. They are out there. They're in the hobby and they want to help because they believe me. Do you really think somebody like a Henry Cavill type? I use him all the time. He's in the thumbnail because he is a Warhammer hobbyist and he comes across this way in the way that he talks, right? I know for a fact that guy was a tubby little neckbeard to be when he was in his teens, right? That guy is a neckbeard wearing the clothes and the charisma of a Chad. That's what he is. That's somebody who's graduated. Now, I'm not saying from that story. Like I'm not saying that guy said. What did he say? That he's graduated. Yeah. I'm not saying when you graduate, quote unquote, that you're going to look like that. But you don't need to. You're not an actor. You're just a guy wanting to get a better life and get more fulfillment out of your hobby. And if you do that, everything else will fall into place. And there are guys out there who are like this. They look out for projects. That's what they do, right? I know a few. They go to these hobby clubs, and if they see somebody struggling, if they see potential in a guy, if they see talent in the guy, they'll say, "Hey, man, do you wanna? I'll pay you. Do you wanna paint one of my models for me? Or hey, man, let's go grab a beer. Let's go have a talk, right?" A lot of them are dads, or the dads to be, right? But all of these guys are there, and please, if you are ever approached by one of these guys, right? And again, a few of them may be weirdos, not gonna lie, right? Yeah, because we do have broken people in the hobby. It just is what it is. But if you're getting a good vibe from somebody, and he approaches you, maybe with some friends, and says, "Hey man, do you want to grab a beer?" Or if he has a game with you and he enjoys the game and he says, "Hey man, do you want to grab a beer? Do you want to have a chat? Do you want to do some painting? Do you want to do this?" Accept. I'm telling you now, accept it. Because that guy probably sees something in you and goes, "This guy's pretty cool. I need more friends. No more preamble. Let's go at it." And that's one thing as men that we don't do enough. 10 men can stand in a circle talking over a beer and never ask each other their fucking names. They won't even ask each other's names. Because that's just not who we are, right? That's not who we are. But I'm telling you, if you can just swallow that pride, swallow that nervousness. Remember when I say to you a few times in the past when I say, if you want to meet women, learn to meet men first. I say that all the time. Okay? If you want to learn how to pull women or talk to women in a social context, go out and try to pull men. I don't mean go home with them. I don't mean have sex with them. I don't mean kiss. I don't mean anything like that. I don't mean anything romantic. I mean, if you see a group of lads who seem pretty cool and nice, go up to them in the bar and open them in a conversation. Get talking. The best place to do that for you is in a hobby space, because everybody is there to do the same thing. You can go over there, you can compliment their models, their playstyle, whatever they're wearing. Do something. Go over there, talk to them, open them up, talk to them. If you do that, you will meet Chads. You will meet Chad after Chad after Chad, and each and every single one of them will want to take you under their wing and show you the light. I'm telling you now, all you need to do is make that first step. There are so many of them in the hobby, it's beyond belief. You will not believe. Go out there, give it a go, I swear to you. I swear to you. You will come across so many new friends and so many cool people who want you to have a good time. I want to have a good time with you. I promise you that. I promise you. I'm one of them. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey man, lovely models," and they strike me up in a conversation, I'm just going to be like, "Oh, brilliant, yeah, fine. As long as I'm not playing a game and I'm not enthralled in a game, brilliant, fine, cool, let's have a little chat." Right? There's nothing wrong with it, dude. You're all there for the same reason. The hobby is the easiest place to make friends. And the fact that so many people need coaching through this shows how broken we all are. All of us. Not just you, but me too, right? We're all broken in this hobby, and we all need that little poke sometimes to get us in the right direction, to go meet people who are actually going to enrich our lives. And the Dave in this story is one of those who could have easily told our friend here to fuck off. Easily. But he didn't. Right? Because that's not what they do. These guys are in the hobby because they love the hobby, and because they love the hobby and the space, they want to nurture it and the people in it. If you find one of these guys, bend their ear. Ask them, how do you do this? How do you shave? How do you groom? How do you, where did you go to learn to ride a bike or whatever else it is that you do? If you find something interesting and you want that, if you see somebody and you go, "I want to be like that," ask them how they did it, where they got it from. I do it all the time because I'm always wanting to learn. And if you want to do a preamble to that question, here it is. I've just said it there, but here it is. Hey man, listen, I'm always looking to learn, and if I see something that's cool that I might want to do myself, like I've just got to dive in and ask, okay? Where did you get that haircut? It's just awesome. No guy is going to go, "Get away." Right? No guy's going to do that. They're all going to go, "Oh, cool. Yeah, I got it done at this place. Blah 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 blah." Yeah. So were you thinking about getting it shorter than this, or like, "Oh no," and before you know it, you're in a conversation. You're in a conversation. "Oh, by the way, nice Black Templars. Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, nice Eldar. Cool. Yeah. Do you want to have a game? Sure." Blah blah blah. And you've got a friend. You've made a friend. Right? It really is that simple. Approaching guys in the hobby is not like approaching women, and I think a lot of people out there kind of mentally throw all of these approaches into the same basket. They're not the same. They're not the same. Okay? They're completely different. Guys in the hobby want friends. Why the fuck do you think we're here? Okay? Yes, there will be a few neckbeards who just want to be there to win. There may even be neckbeards in disguise who look like normal people, or handsome people, or whatever, who just want to win. But by and large, we're all here to make friends. And if you're a good guy, and you want to get there, and you want people to know that you're a good guy, and you're there asking them really cool questions, dude, just go and do it. You will find friends, you will find people that you like. And I hope that this video has gone some way to making sure that you're on that journey. Go out and find yourself a Chad. The hobby is full of them. They're full of these people, and we are very, 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 very lucky to share a space with them. Nearly every single club I go to has at least 5. I'm being serious. If there are 20 people in the club, at least 5 of them will be these types of blokes. I don't know what the phenomenon is. I don't know why they're here. But I'm so, so grateful that they are. Alright? Cool. I love you a long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow for some more hobby nightmares. And then on Thursday, there'll be a bit more of a negative rant video because Games Workshop have released the pricing for the Leviathan box set. And it's a fucking insult to everybody. And I'm really annoyed about it. So, I'll speak to you then. I love you a long time. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll speak to you later. Have a good one. Bye.